Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening from those of us at the Mobile Armor Radio. Hello, everyone out there. I am Brian Novak, your host for tonight.
I'm Pat, the second in the chair.
Set me to bring up the rear. My name's Rob.
And this is the third show that we're recording tonight after a very fun and fantastic and busy weekend. But we'll get right into it actually with our next podcast, and then the topic we'll get to that as well. Talk a little bit about what we're watching, what we're doing, what we're working on, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Right. Straight into Dropship then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Dropship landing.
Welcome to the Dropship. This is the part of the podcast where we talk a little bit about what each of us is kind of working on, and you know, in regards to mechs and what we're building. So let's start with Rob. What are you working on lately?
Well, as always, I get Gundam loot every month, so I got a Chibi RX-7 game.
Nice.
I hate Chibi, but he's a little cute guy. And I also got a cool purple translucent one. I can't remember what it's called. It's got a weird name. But they were cool. It's Gundam loot's cool. But I'm also mostly working on is my Cav right now. I got a lot of Cav from Adepticon, and I've been painting those up and enjoying it. They have a Kickstarter coming up, so I'm getting kind of prepared. Might jump into that, get some more Cav. I may have ordered more Cav also, because I needed bases. So
How do those pan up?
Oh, great. They're larger scale than Battletech minis. They're 10 millimeter instead of 6. So they have a lot more bulk and scale, so you can actually do some more fun stuff with them.
A little more oomph.
Yeah, you can always do markings and stuff, whereas Battletech ones, they're pretty small. It's hard to get any real markings on them, so I like the Cav for the size. And I also like the designs. They are cool designs. So
Nice.
I haven't played Cav yet, the game, but yeah.
I'm not as familiar with the Cav mechs. Are they modular in any way? Can you swap weapons at all, or are they pretty solid pieces?
They come in all solid pieces, like they don't have
Solid
options,
pieces.
but I guess if you really wanted to, you could buy a few sets and mix and match. I'm not sure if the game allows for that, but if you just wanted to make cool mechs, you could definitely mix and match.
Definitely.
But I just like the designs as they are. They are very solid looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good looking mechs. I'm actually looking at them right now, and I did go over the quick start rules that are available online, and I'm intrigued as to play, so I'd like to get a set of the full rules and actually give it a shot and see how it works out.
Yeah. And I know, actually, they had a deal on right now that's, because I think the Kickstarter is going to be the new rules, which obviously is Kickstarter, so it'll be another year. But they had the current rules on for $40 is how much the book costs, but you get a lance of mechs, so 4 mechs with that for $40, so that's pretty cool. Because the mechs generally run about $4 to $5 each. So, yeah, you're getting a really good deal for that. So I was almost jumping.
Is that still going on?
I believe so. Last time I checked, it was still going on, so.
I'll have to go check it out then.
Yeah, it's on their actual, it's Talon Games, I think, makes it, and it was on their actual
TalonGames.com.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because they also, Reaper, I think, distributes them, or used to distribute them. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I think Reaper actually started it, maybe?
I don't know how it worked. I don't know if they just started it and then, maybe they just distributed it and the guy still owned the rights, or I'm not sure exactly the whole situation.
I don't know. So if anyone knows the history of that,
yeah, go to our
Facebook
Go
page.
to our Facebook page and leave a comment.
Yeah, Mobile Armor Radio on Facebook. It's real active. I'm actually happy between the last episode and this one. We've had a lot of new people join, and it's almost every day there's tons of new posts and everybody talking. It's a really cool environment so far. I've been a part of other Facebook groups, and this one's a lot more cordial.
Yeah, that's always a plus. We really appreciate that, guys. You're doing a great job on Facebook there. We love it, and keep them coming.
Yeah, it's always good because I see a lot of stuff I never knew anything about, and I'm like, oh wow, what's this? What's this?
Yeah, I think so. I was just doing some digging while we're chatting Facebook page, and so I guess the first Cav in 2014 was created by Reaper, the first Kickstarter.
Yeah, so they might have had some association with them, and then now they're on their own.
Yeah, or just gave it up and sold the license to whoever's to Talon Games now, I guess.
Would that have been around the time they switched to Bones stuff?
No, I think Bones was already going on.
Yeah, Bones has been going for a while, and there is no, as far as I know, there's no Cav in Bones. It's all, the Reaper ones are all metal, and the new, which I like a lot, is the new, Talon ones are all plastic, hard plastic. That's so much nicer. I hate metal miniatures.
I like the plastic ones as well.
Well, again, if you know, let us know, because I'm be curious to see the evolution of that, because as far as painting models, I prefer plastic, but I don't hate the metal models. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, I'm that's hyperbole. I don't hate metal models. Like, I like the Battletech metals. They're nice. It's just it's what it is it's actually the Infinity models. I don't know. I know this is getting off topic, but those Infinity models, those metal, they're beautiful models, but the metal is so hard to work with. Like, they fall apart easily. They drop them. They smash in 1,000 pieces. It's like, it's not like plastic where you can like wing them around and you're fine with them. Maybe it's because I drop a lot of miniatures.
Yeah, I know. My carrying case, if I have any metal ones that are like glued together, they often don't survive more than a couple trips before they're falling apart.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what glue you use. It's just, it doesn't bond as good. And they don't take the shock as good, I guess. They don't have any bend to them or...
No elasticity.
Yeah, that's the word.
So if you guys have any tips on gluing metal miniatures together, leave a comment in the section below.
Yeah. Well, I could get that weld stuff. I wonder if that works. That, like...
JB Weld?
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I've been working on right now, I think. Other than I've been priming hundreds of, we'll get to it at Gen Con, but I did buy a lot of Battletech, so I've been priming a lot of that stuff too.
Gotcha. Awesome. Pat, what have you been working on lately?
Well, now
Just
that Gen Con
right?
is, now that Gen Con is over, I finally am tackling my pile of models that I've been accruing, which I've now added on to because I also got my loot crate, my Gundam loot. Fortunately, there's only one model out of the 3 that I'm going to be working with. I got a Justice Gundam in there, so that's now at the bottom of the pile.
Nice, from Gundam Seed.
Yeah. The Zaft Mobile Suit. Z-A-F-T. I don't know, what does that stand for?
Oh, there were so many acronyms in that show.
That's one of the Gundams I haven't watched yet.
Yeah.
But I ended up with another Chibi Gundam, and so that will never see the light of day. And then I got this cross-silhouette frame. Apparently, I guess that was something that they tried to put out, Bandai, where you can kind of create your own mech with the skeleton and change your parts and everything. I looked a little bit into it. Yeah, it was, from what I read and from what one of our posters and listeners, Jason Arana, posted, he said like it never really took off. So that's probably why I haven't seen much about it. But
yeah.
But now that the list has gotten bigger, I started to tackle my pile, and I started working on my MSO2 Jong. If we're gonna pronounce it correctly, Jong.
Jong.
And if you are a part of our Facebook page again, check it out. I posted some pics. Man, I got the head and the arms done already. And it is ginormous.
Yeah. You posted this picture of that hands, and it's like, they're the size of like your desk.
And that's a master grade one you got?
It's a master grade, yeah. And it's the MSO2. It's from the original series version. So it doesn't have the legs. It's just a skirted flyer.
It doesn't have like a flight base for the arms and everything?
It has flight base for the arms because the hands, the forearms come off. The head comes off.
Right.
Just like in the movie. The cool thing is that every one of those fingers are articulated, all the joints, so they fold and everything. It's pretty cool. When I was putting it together, I was like, what am I doing with this thing? How's this supposed to work? And then I realized they were fingers I was making.
It's crazy how sometimes you'll see the parts and you'll have no idea what they come together as, and then eventually it'll just start taking shape.
So I've been painting the Xiong as I've been building it. I was going to try and not paint it, but as I was building it, I just the hobbyist got the best of me. I couldn't do it.
The paint job you're doing is looking fantastic.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you should talk about where you got the idea to do those paint jobs too. The book.
Should we do that now, or is that going ComStar?
Oh, I guess so. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah. That's all right.
But there is a book which I'll talk in ComStar, which will loop around, and if you're seeing, you'll see why my paint job looks the way it is, and it looks really nice with this thing. But people were saying they were kind of on the fence with these Mecha colors from Vallejo, and I'm actually digging it. They're actually turning out okay. I did have some like weird beading problems, but it's only on the pieces that were the colored plastic that when Bandai makes those colored pieces, those colored frames with the colored pieces. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? If you ever built a Bandai kit, so like if you're looking at my Xiong, I'm going to just reference that. Anything that's red and yellow was colored red or yellow in a mold. And I don't know if they use some kind of releaser in that plastic mold or whatever, but I feel like when I give it a good rub or wipe down with a cloth, it doesn't do that. So I think there's something on that plastic that might make the mech colors not act correctly.
Yeah, it might also be the finish. If it's a real gloss finish on them, it won't be as porous, so the paint won't adhere.
Oh, that could be it too. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I wonder if you you never even thought about priming the whole thing and starting from scratch.
No, I did. I primed all the pieces.
Oh, and it was the primer that wasn't sticking?
It was doing with the primer.
Oh, that's unusual. Yeah. So yeah, It might be something to do with that. I've never had that where the primer doesn't stick to something.
Yeah. So but once it dries, it does fine. It doesn't rub off the primer, but it doesn't lay right when I airbrush the primer on.
I wonder if you could have, I know a lot, it's once again with bones, if you spray it with matte first, it creates like a more, cause matte varnish isn't smooth. It's got a little surface if you look at it under a microscope. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you'd sprayed it with matte first and then put your layer on top. Cause I know that works with MDF and it works with the bones material, that both of those, that it creates a surface that actually takes the paint. So.
No, I'll give that a shot. I'll give that's next time I run into that problem. Actually, what I might do is test it out on some of the extra sprues I got laying around.
Yeah, it's good idea to test it there first.
Yeah.
So this Xiong's going to probably take me about a month to put together with work and everything else.
Right.
And then, because then, when we get to media, I'm going to be painting it up even more than what I've been doing now.
Yeah. Once it's bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, once it's done, then I'm going to actually really finish it up.
Yeah, you're just doing the pre-painting now, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat's a expert painter, if people don't know. He's award-winning.
Yeah.
Trash can award-winning.
You've been painting a long time, so you make stuff look real cool.
Yeah. And if you ever like feedback. Feedback or advice, comment in the section below.
Yeah, that's right. Talk to Pat. Pat will give you some advice. So there you go.
Well, cool.
What do you got going on, Brian?
Well, August has been a crazy month for sure. One thing that did happen is I got an upgrade for my painting table in that I shrank its table size down.
That's an upgrade?
But it's an upgrade because I now have a swinging arm lamp with a magnifying glass in it. It's actually it was my grandfather's, and I had it back home in Wisconsin where I am from, and I had asked my family to bring it over since I've been doing so much more miniatures and painting lately, and so it's really cool. It was the size of it was too much for the other table that I was using previously, so I switched to like a regular kind of, card table. But now I got my nice lamp. I have a nice light source instead of a light that's behind me, to try and see when I'm painting. And I finished up a whole bunch of I probably mentioned last time, I had a whole bunch of fantasy miniatures that I had to paint. I got those done. And so now, and the event I was painting them for has come and passed this last weekend, actually, which was a whole lot of fun. But now I've got, I can kind of get back into my sci-fi stuff a bit more. Haven't quite delved into my actual like Gundam model kits. I do have a master grade, RZ8 and, ground type, high grade that's waiting for me to actually, get put together. But,
yeah, I did a ground type not too long ago, and I love those things. They're one of my favorite mechs, actually.
I love the ground type. But I think my next project.
Did you post any pictures, Brian?
I have not yet. I'll get better at that, team. I'll be posting more pictures. Because my next project is actually, I know we've mentioned it before. Dead Zone is a pretty big, game that, I enjoy playing, and I think, the other two guys here can attest that it's a very fun game. That also has some mechs in it. And I've been doing conversions on, the mechs to kind of give them that flavor of other things that I'm into. So I've got an RX-70 or a EZ8 style Strider's the mech there. I've got a Goof custom one that I whipped together. And so my next one is it's a Forge Father is the race. They have a mech called the Iron Ancestor, which is a pretty awesome looking suit. And what I'm going to do for those that have ever heard of a show called Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, I'm going to give that puppy some nice big drill arms and a big shiny pair of sunglasses, and I'm gonna paint it cherry red, man. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have so much fun doing that one. I just have to figure out where to get the sunglasses.
Green stuff.
Yeah, green stuff or,
Well, I'd like them to be kind of that translucent, though.
Yeah.
That'll be the thing. I'd like the
some toy or something. You might be able to find some
There
cheap
might be-
toy that has it.
yeah, go
some-
through the Barbie section.
Yeah, some cheap hard plastic or something like that I might be able to find that's just tinted right and then cut it up. So, no, I was going to say, if anybody has any tips on what to make giant sunglasses with for a 28 millimeter Mecha, that'll be a fun time.
Yeah, this whole project that you started with your ones you did before, now you've influenced your buddy Rick Hall. He's made a Forge Father into with the big hammer. It's based on, what is it? It's based on Gundam Seed? Which one is that?
No, that one is from Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yeah. It's just a Zaku.
Yeah, you did it with a big hammer, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And since you've done this, we've all at Adepticon once again. All of us go to Adepticon every year. That's in March in Chicagoland area. We're going to do a mech battle there. So if anybody is in that area around March, end March, we're going to be doing this. So we're modding up all of our Striders and Iron Ancestors and maybe stunt bots if they ever show up. But we're all going to start this battle. It's all Brian's fault.
It's all my fault. And Jeff, our other friendly Canadian buddy who listens to the podcast every now and then, is also going to be doing. He hasn't decided if it's the Strider or Iron Ancestor yet. Or which suit, but he has picked Heavy Arms as the one that he wants to do. So a lot of Gatling guns and a whole lot of missile pods.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's been fun. I will be posting pictures of these suits that I've whipped up so far, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting to play some more with them.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, so yeah, that kind of wraps up what I'm actually working on, and hopefully I'll have a decent update next time we talk about it. I got so many projects that keep stacking up, so I do want to try and make a dent in that one though. I think I'm also going to be painting some of the regular armies in other Gundam colors. There's Marauders, which are kind of like they're kind of like space orcs, but they're really cunning. They have a great intelligence about them. They're not dumb or just savage barbarians, which is really cool about them. But I'm going to be painting them up most likely in Xeon colors.
That's appropriate for them.
Oh yeah. So the green, which is funny because so many of the things I painted lately are green. And then there's another faction in there. I painted up a group in the ESEF. I always forget the acronyms. There's so many acronyms in Gundam. The main federal forces, I painted up a team that has that kind of tan color, with the red and stuff on them. There's another faction that's very similar. I'm going to be painting them up as the Titans. So it's Maison Labs for those that know the Dead Zone stuff more. So I have so much fun with that, and it's a great way to I think also kind of catch people's eye if they kind of recognize it, but also is still very much within the flavor of the Dead Zone game itself. So that's been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. And for the Marauders, the Marauder captain there, he'd be perfect Char.
Oh yeah. Either Char or Dozel.
Oh yeah, Dozel too.
Yeah. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up what I'm going to be working on in the next several months probably. And with that, I think we'll be moving on to ComStar.
Message from ComStar.
All right, welcome to ComStar, the portion of the show where we talk about shows that we're watching, games that we're playing, other medium, reading, writing maybe, or even podcasts that we're listening to. You never know.
Fanfiction, Battletech.
I do want to add a section at some point where we talk about like music that gets you into Mecha, but that'll be a topic for a different day, I think.
I think that's a MechBay Hanger.
Yeah, it is.
Topic.
So let's start. So this time, let's start with Pat.
Oh, all right. So I since we started this, I've been going back to my old childhood stuff, like I always do, and I just finished up the original Gundam series again.
Mm.
And then I decided I'm going to go watch them in release order, not
chronological.
That's the word I want. Chronologically order. So I just started. I'm about a quarter of the way through Mobile Gundam Z.
Zeta's a good one.
Yeah. So that's currently what I'm watching as far as mech stuff is concerned. I haven't played Battletech in a bit, in a long while. I got distracted with a lot of Gen Con stuff and then other work and then things like that I haven't had a chance to get back to jumping on back into my lance, controlling my lances. What else? Oh, so as far as media and books, so I've been a good friend of mine, Alex from Ironheart Artisan, recommended these books called In Combat by Ammo, from Ammo by MiG. And they're really, really good books, especially if you want to start painting your Gundams yourself. They take steps. They literally number the picture, and it matches the paragraph about what he did. And it's so like in volume 1, MiG is painting a 78 Gundam, and he talks about how he did it. And so I kind of mimicked what he was doing, following his kind of instructions with my Zeong. So that's why, what he likes to suggest with these bigger models is that you do a nice dark color as the base, and then you take pretty much the color that it's supposed to look like. And this is where I think the Vallejo Mecha paints come in great because, and let me clarify, these come in great for when you're building a Gundam model from the Gundam lines, because they have a pamphlet out, and you know what I'll probably do is I'll probably upload that pamphlet into the file section of the Facebook page.
Oh,
did I?
I think you did.
All right.
Might have.
That like talking.
But what's really great about this pamphlet is that it literally gives you the color palette for that mobile suit.
Oh, nice.
So you can just buy the colors you need. And I did that for the Zong, or the Zhong. And I think I'm going to do that. Well, I shouldn't say think. I'm going to do that with the Goof that I have. But when it comes to my Waspitas, I'm going to have to eyeball the colors and just kind of figure it out. But I'm going to start using that technique a lot with these mobile suits because it looks really good. It gives you kind of a depth with the dark base and the highlighted middle.
You did add it to the files, so if you go to Mobile Armor Radio under files, we do have that Vallejo Mecha color user guide. Yeah,
it's just a PDF. So it's really good. And so these are airbrush paints, FYI. But yeah, so and then reading the MIG books, I'm following it step by step. So now when I get the Zhong built, I'm going to then go with the rest of the steps and how MIG talks about weathering and chipping,
detailing and stuff like that.
And detailing, yeah. It's so if I can, I might try and find a picture of it online and post it like his finished mobile suit Gundam. And it looks really good. Nice. There's some beginner techniques in there. There's some kind of fairly decent advanced techniques. So if you were looking to do something out of the MIG book, what's great about it is he tells you how he did it and what you should be doing. But practice on one of your chibi Gundams then. if you're
you guys really don't like those things.
I'm not. I have a general hate for all things chibi.
Well, that's another topic. We'll save that one too.
Yeah. Why does Pat hate chibi?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go that far, but if you're like me and you're not a big fan of the chibi, you can take your little chibi Gundams from your Gundam loot and practice those techniques on there, so that way you can mess up and things like that.
You can also, it's relatively cheap. You go on eBay or on even Amazon. You can buy Gundams for $10 now. Like you can get some of the cheaper ones really cheap to test on. So
yeah,
I suggest trying it out because even if you don't get it the first time, the thing is you're trying it and you're learning it. And once you learn it and you get it down, then you'll be like, oh, that's great. And then if you are a hobbyist or even like me, Brian, and Rob, a tabletop wargamer, you can still take those techniques and put it into your other model building and painting.
Exactly.
So I really highly recommend the Volume 1 ammo book. Ammo in Combat, it's called. You can get it on Amazon. And then Volume 2 is actually even a little more advanced because it actually talks about making diorama bases for your Gundams.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, your mobile suits. Like they have the Black Scorpion Zaku, and the guy put it like in a forest, and it's knocking down trees as it's walking. It looks really good. So that's it I got for ComStar. Just Zeta and working through that ammo book.
Nice.
Well, plus you forgot to mention the big thing is Gen Con.
Oh, are we talking about Gen Con now? Or I thought that was a separate thing.
That was in ComStar.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys, if you wanted to, go ahead and you can dive into Gen Con right now if you'd like.
Sure. Well, as you know, me and Rob both went to Gen Con. And ironically, Gen Con... I
stopped by to say hi.
Gen Con turned into for us, really just kind of a buy all things mech at Gen Con.
Yeah. Well, like, you especially, but I was in there too.
Yeah. So we'll jump right to the big ticket. I went and went to Weta Workshop because those guys are great. They're great people. And picked up the GKAR, Gen Killer Robots Heavy Hitters box, and the first expansion of Robots, Sweet and Salty. Is it salty and sweet or sweet and salty?
You always get the names wrong, so whatever it is, it's the opposite what you say.
Yeah. Because I noticed I said it wrong on our unboxing.
Yeah.
But I played a game.
It's actually like salty and peppery or something like
salty
that.
Salty and peppery.
I don't know. I'm making it up.
But I did play, since we've been back, I've played a game or two of it, and it's pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, those mechs look so cool.
Yeah, they're giant mechs. Not only you get the giant mechs, they have like support robots with them too, so you can basically put out 4 different kind of robots too. So you get like a combat robot, a repair robot, and a recon robot who can spot for you. So if you can't see your guy, you can use your recon to draw a line of sight from.
Nice.
What else did we get? So me and Rob went deep in Battletech.
Yes.
What's the name of that place?
Ironwind.
Ironwind. Yeah, Ironwind Metals, who are now in charge of making all the Battletech minis, correct?
They make all the minis,
the metal ones,
the plastics that are in the starter sets. Yes.
Yeah. So we picked up a couple Lances. We picked up the Gen Con special, which was Wolf Clan mechs.
It's like post Wolf Clan, Wolf Empire or something. I'm not really up on
the one that joined. It's the one that joined.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Inner Sphere.
It's really far after all that too, so I'm not even sure about that.
But the mechs look nice, so I haven't got around to that yet because that also has to fit into the queue, as our European guys would like to say, of things to get built. They might jump the line though, because the mechs for me are easier and faster to paint because I don't put as much in to them. Not because I don't want them to look good. It's just they're smaller models and it's easier just to kind of get them really painted up fairly uniformly, and then just highlight or pick out the nice little bits you want to make more metal and stuff like that. So I probably won't get in as depth as I would say anything else I would build, like for Dead Zone or Warpath or my own model making in itself, because I do have a white base and I do have a an SDF-1 that's in the queue now.
Nice.
With the Daedalus and the Prometheus.
Yes, you have a lot of backed up mechs and ships.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Robotech board game that was there, was that you or Rob that saw that?
It was me, because I was, but it was on my list of things to pick up, because when I was looking through the list of Board Game Geek of what vendors were going to be there and what they were going to be selling or demoing, what do you remember the name of it? Attack on SDF-1, I think it's
something like that.
What it's called.
That's the base defense one, right?
Yeah, it's the cross between deck building and area control and tower defense.
Yeah, because there's a couple card games out from I think it's the same company. It puts out a couple other card games.
Yeah, I did not look at the card games.
No, I wasn't that interested in the card games. But this one has a big cardboard you put together, SDF-1.
That thing looks so sweet.
Miniatures like a different scale to miniatures. They're not like all the right scale, but to place on the board around it, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and those figures are part of the area control part of the game.
Yeah.
But they were ordering pre-orders, and I think it goes to out. I think he said November is what they told me.
Nice.
If I remember right.
It looked really cool.
But I was on the funny thing was that I walked around Gen Con for about 30 minutes before I realized that they were the booth across the way from us.
Yeah, literally, I was staring at it all day.
But the list on Board Game Geek said it would be for sale, but it was really for demo.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What else did I pick up? Oh, I picked up a kind of a deck builder game called Critical Mass.
Yeah, we tried that out. It was really fun. Yeah,
where you play the Critical Mass game. It's not that expensive. I think there were $25 a piece. And in the box you get two quote unquote battle mechs. And each battle mech has a small custom deck, which then you augment with a generic tech equipment weapon deck. And there's each different robot has a different amount of what they can take of
and
which
like
type.
A specific board too, which is really cool with all the different, what are they, the little tokens that you put on it?
Yeah, little cubes that represent the armor for each section. And then each section is not the same on each robot. So like, like my arms were had the biggest armor, or it was my weapons. And then yours was your jump jets?
Yeah, something. Yeah, each one has different amount of how much damage it can take, and you can choose to where to attack, and it's really neat.
And then when you lose a part, then you lose cards or you lose
the things tells you what happens, the effect of when you get that armor beaten down, and the objective is to beat your opponent's all his armor down.
Okay.
Yeah, and
it took us maybe 2 turns. All of a sudden, we're like, "Oh, this is how this game works." And we're like, and all of a sudden, I started getting more strategic. And
the way attacking works is you both pick a card, you both reveal, but whoever does who does damage first depends on, I guess, quote, the attack number. So the higher the attack number, the faster the attack, and the faster the attack is the one that gets to go first. So if I did a fast attack and destroyed Rob's last armor on one section, that would resolve before his attack would, and he could potentially lose his attack.
Plus, some of the cards you play are defensive cards, so you could be like, negate this, or,
Oh, yeah. And you could play equipment cards, like I think Rob kept putting up something that I kept destroying.
Oh, yeah, there was something that would make my lasers better, so I had this combo I was going to do, and every time I was about to pull this combo off, he'd destroy the one card. So you can target the equipment instead of the armor to get rid of that, and really neat game, and there was 4 different mechs, because you bought 2 sets.
4 different mechs, yeah, and I played the other 2 with another friend of mine, Jack, and he played the I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that had shields, and so at the end of every round, his shields would regenerate one. So even if I got rid of all his shields, the downside to that is if I get rid of all your shields, the effect of what happens when you lose all the armor on that, all the cubes, happens every time I knock down his shields. And when his shields are gone, he gets to regenerate them as part of his robot's power.
Yeah, each robot had like 2 specific powers you'd have. One that would be kind of like a base power, and then the other one was triggered via different ways. And it's really cool game. And as they expand to more mechs, it'll be really interesting. I could see people playing that quick and easy, but
yeah, it's quick and easy
strategy.
The price point is really good.
Mm-hmm. Sounds fun.
What else did I grab?
It's not a collectible card game, so you don't have to worry about it. It's all in the box.
Cool.
Yes, definitely. So, and that's one of the things that drew me to it, is the fact that they wouldn't have to. I shouldn't say wouldn't have to. I won't need to. And they had a really good deal if you bought both of them. So I did end up buying both. So it potentially could be a 4-player free for all game, which is cool.
Oh wow, that is cool.
It even comes with these cards that say attack right, attack left, attack straight. So I think one of the things you can do is every round you randomize that, and then you flip, and that's who you're fighting that round.
Nice. Very cool.
You also picked up Starship Samurai.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played that yet.
So,
but it's an area control game, kind of board game. I know that you take over little areas and try to get stuff, and you get 2 battle samurai, mech samurai, that you can use to fight for control of an area.
And there's a few different ones in the box. And
yeah, those I might actually try and paint up. Those actually look nice.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Nice.
So,
and I'm trying to think. You bought a lot of stuff.
I did.
Well, did you get anything else, Rob, yourself?
Oh, I got a lot too. Yes, I got both the Battletech beginner box and the new regular rule set box for Battletech.
Oh yeah, I got the book.
Yeah, you got the rule book because you already had the last year's starter set, so you already had one. So yeah, I got those. Plus, we bought, like Pat said, we got a lot of mechs. We bought quite a few from Ironwind, so I don't know how many I ended up with, but a lot of mechs.
I got a Dropship too. That's right.
That's right. You got a Dropship. I got a mech repair bay too. Huge piece of metal. It's kind of cool. But I also picked up Starship Samurai, which is because it did look so cool. Both of us were we knew we'd get that at the show. And I got some more Battletech books. I bought the Battletech RPG, which is Time of War. They had it on sale.
Yeah.
So I got that, which was good. And the Battletech, but I got lucky because we were exhibitors. We were able to get into the dealer hall early, so I was able to get those box sets. They sold out in like 20 minutes, so I got really lucky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they sold out fast, and they didn't have the energy drinks.
Yeah, the energy drinks came. They had a coolant flush and what was the other one? Dragon piss energy drinks from that they were selling at the site. But they had a lot of stuff that only came in on Friday, so it was delayed. So that, and I think the book you bought, Pat, it sold out, but they got more back in.
Yeah. The cool thing about the books, one of our friends and listeners, Brian, bought a whole.
Is that me?
No, Brian.
Wait.
He bought the set of books, and the bindings of the book create a little painting picture when you put them on a shelf.
Oh yeah,
Put
yeah.
them all together. Yeah, it's the new Catalyst ones. All the new Catalyst books. He finally completed his set at this Gen Con, and I think he posted a picture on Mobile Armor Radio, so you can check it out there. Of the mosaic it created. I don't think any other mech stuff. I got some other Cthulhu stuff, but
yeah,
I think that was all the mech stuff I bought.
I think you regret not getting the critical mass.
I regret that, and I regret not getting some more Battletech stuff when I was there. I should have picked up some more stuff, but
yeah, I feel the same way.
But there's always next year. And then I went to Pat's hobby store. I did pick up 2 more Battletech books there. I got the first and second Secession Wars books from Catalyst there. So I got those ones, which I'm reading through currently. What else? I guess it's on to me now. I was watching Thunderbolt, Gundam Thunderbolts lately. I watched all the episodes that have been out so far. I assume the series is going to continue because it kind of leaves on a cliffhanger. There's only 8 episodes so far. But it's from 2016, so it's relatively new, so the art is amazing, like the animation. And the story is, as all Gundam stories are, but it's super deep. It's about, like losing limbs and how much you'll go through for war and, like, PTSD and, like, it's crazy. But all Gundam series seem to be, they take war very seriously. They don't, glorify it too much, at least in the regular series. Maybe by the time you get to Gundam Wing, it kind of goes off the rails, but in the regular series, the 1 year war, they take it very serious. Yeah,
Universal Century's pretty straight faced about how brutal war can be.
Yeah, like I was like, whoa. There's people getting things to their face and shot in the head, and I was like, whoa, this is not for children, but neither was Gundam when it first came out, so.
And yet it was.
Yes.
To sell toys to them. But, I haven't seen Thunderbolt yet.
Yeah, it's fun. It's, cause I am watching it chronologically, so chronologically this is the next in the series. I watched regular Gundam.
Is it Butterfly or Thunderbolt Butterfly?
There's 2, it's 2,
is it season 1, season 2 kind of thing?
There's season 1 and season 2, each one's 4 episodes, but they also put them out as movies, because they're only 20 minutes each, so they put out each of them as movies. And they do have weird names. There's 2 different weird names that they have for the movies. It's the same thing, it's just one's in movie format, and the other ones are in episodic format. It is subbed, not dubbed, so you have to be able to read subtitles. So, but it's, yes, it was, well, it's been a while since I read subtitles, so I had to get back into it. But it was fun. It's a good series. Like I was getting into it, and it was, nobody's a good guy, nobody's a bad guy. Like you get the Zeon soldiers are given as much, credit, and some of the Federation guys are evil, and it's really interesting. And, I'm still reading through all the Battletech books. I'm on to where the clans first invade, which is very interesting, like to see it from, like, the ground zero. And it was really neat to see it from that. I think I had read it, like, when I was a kid, like, really long time ago. But having read it again, you get a lot more perspective on it. When they first show up, you're like, oh my god, that's the clans. Like, it's pretty cool. Cause they just meet them on some moon somewhere, and you're like, oh, these people are scared from something. Oh, this is weird. They're shooting at extra long range. That's strange. Their armor can take a lot more. That's weird. And all of a sudden, it's the clans. So it was really neat. I know Pat hates the clan invasion, but I like the early clan invasion. As it goes on, it does have a problem, but I like the, when it first happened. It was so shocking that it was.
Well, I mean,
cool.
let me clarify that. I don't think I hated it story-wise. I hated it, what it did to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, because they are too powerful in the game, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, story-wise, it's great so far. So I'm really having fun doing that. And what else? We got, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else. Media-wise.
Busy time, huh?
Yeah. How about you, Brian? You watching or reading or doing anything?
Well, kind of talking quick on Dead Zone. We just had the Dead Zone tournament here in Lansing, Michigan today. Actually, it was a fun time.
Terrible at it. I heard you were the worst.
Yeah, I was the worst, and that's why I took second. Yeah,
your first loser.
But it included my Easy 8 was part of my strike force, and no one took it out, so that's always a plus because the rule of cool often means that it's the first thing people try to murder. So that was a fun time. I've been reading and doing a whole lot of other things, as far as like games and books go that aren't, as quite mecha related. Finished like a reread of Neuromancer and watched another like cyberpunk show. But, I did finally get caught up, on Voltron on Netflix, which you might have seen in the Facebook post. I really like that show. It is a fantastic show. And it's more super robot than it is kind of real robot, because there's a whole lot in there where it's like, oh, if we just yell loud enough and believe in ourselves and our friends, that we can get a giant cannon to pop out of our shoulder and save the day. So, but not to downplay it at all. It is a fantastic show. So it was really, really fun to get caught up on that again. I think it's got one last season. So like the current season that just came out, earlier in August, was, I won't spoil too much, but it had a great kind of vibe of Mass Effect meets XCOM, to it. So, if either of those properties interest you, it's definitely worth checking out, on top of the fact that it's Voltron. I think the show's leaps and bounds, better than the original.
That's not saying much, because the original was episodic and like everything had to be reset at the end of the show, and classic 80s cartoons.
Yeah, to be fair. But if you liked that show back in the day, I would say I think you'll not only find this entertaining, but also incredibly fascinating and fun to watch. So that's kind of the big thing that's been going on. I did happen, a buddy of mine, Tim, who's one of my Dead Zone buddies, gave me a bag of Mecha parts that he had like in his attic or something.
That's cool.
And I see pieces for Battletech pilot. I'm pretty sure it's Robotech in there.
Your store has the RPG for sale.
It does have the RPG, the Robotech Tactics board game for sale. I'm still on the fence if I'll ever get that.
Wait till it's $20. It was cheap at Gen Con, so.
Yeah, I saw three boxes.
Yeah, we saw it cheap at Gen Con.
Yeah.
$20, $25, man. $25. You couldn't.
I think Miniature Market's selling it for $45, and sometimes it goes on sale for $35. So I would wait to get it cheap.
I think our local store still has it like around that 70, 80 range. But
I think last time when I looked at it, it was 60.
Was it 60? Yeah. I think it's in the clearance section. But,
it is.
Yeah.
It was at your game store too, Pat. I think I saw it in the clearance section.
Yeah. But it was still. I think that was still $60 then too. We said.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it. Yeah, but I've put together. I don't have the game, but I bought a lot of the minis, and those minis are some of the most frustratingly small and annoying little minis.
Yep, that's what I heard.
That was a confounding factor.
They are great when they're put together. Like, you can pose them any way you want. They're really nice once they're together, but putting them together is a challenge. It is challenging in not getting angry and zenning out and just, saying your chakras and
yeah.
trying not to smash things because it is so frustrating. They're so small and there's so many little bits. It's like I say, the end result is awesome, but getting there is really hard.
I know, Brian, your store also is willing to cut you guys a deal on GKR.
This is true. I might be going in on getting he's got 2 copies of it, and I don't think he has any of the expansion ones.
No, he's only got the
sour and pepper or whatever it was. And
salt and pepper, the rap group.
Yeah, that's right.
Push it real good. Yeah, so I might be going halvesies on getting that game, which I would have a blast with, I'm sure.
After unboxing Pat's, it is gorgeous. It is such a nice game. It just like not even the giant mechs are cool, like even the little ones are cool.
Nice.
It's got like support mechs in the box, and man, it's sweet.
Yeah. Let's see, other things. Oh, I did finish, I remember talking about it last time, but I did finish Darling in the Franxx.
Oh, yes.
Which some of you may have looked into since I mentioned it. I don't apologize for anything, because that's all on you.
I think you've scarred some people with that one, though.
Yeah. I think Beetle, our good friend, he was very confused.
I forgot about Beetle.
Yeah. He's not on Facebook as much, but I finished that series now. I still like it as a series, but it is very much in that Fooly Cooly, Gurren Lagann and even like Gunbuster, Diebuster. So it's alumni from the Studio Gainax, so the Evangelion guys and whatnot. They're in the Studio Trigger is their current studio. So a lot of guys that, worked on those older properties are now together again and making other crazy shows. So
yeah, so if you were scarred by that one.
Yeah, if you were scarred by any of those earlier shows I mentioned, this one's for you. But it's got some fun stuff in it. It's a super robot show, so the louder you yell, the better you do. So I like those shows. They're crazy and off the wall. But yeah, I think that about wraps up ComStar for me. I should mention I did stop by Gen Con and saw it from the outside, cause it was very much a gated community.
Yeah, you riffraff to come down in the evenings.
Yep. I did get to see you guys there because we stopped in for Mantic Night.
I barely saw anyone. I was so out of it by that point.
You were doing so, yeah.
You were so beat down. I couldn't talk.
Saturday was a long day.
Yeah.
My voice was gone. I was pretty much leaning on a wall talking to Beetle the whole time because I couldn't move. I was done.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a fun time. But that's the extent of my Gen Con input, is I saw it from the outside.
I think you're okay. That's all you need to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a longer section than it typically is, but I think we'll be moving on then to the MechBay Hanger and the big topic for the week.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
All right, and so for the MechBay Hanger discussion topic for the week, we actually had some of these questions pop up in the Facebook group itself. People kind of come to us and say, "Hey, this is I'm into mechs and or I'm just getting started trying to get my friends into it. What are your recommendations for shows, games, and books and stuff like that?" So I thought I'd open that up to the group here and see what people think. Since you guys have been going first these last couple times, I'll start with mine just for fun.
For sure. Yeah, you're much more knowledgeable about this, I'm sure. So
Well, some of it, because like I said, I'd like it to be the different kinds of media as well. So, I'm much more familiar with like the anime and maybe the video game side of things. And so, I kind of mentioned it earlier, if you're, to kind of start the discussion, if you're looking to get younger kids into Mecha and, start them down this path of giant monstrosities that are awesome and
that's that
everything
Frank show
like
you're talking about? Is that what you're going to say?
No, it was not going to be the Darling Frank. That's for when you want them to leave. I mean,
and that's when you want to scar your children for life. You want to.
Yeah. So I'd recommend Voltron, the Netflix series that's out right now. It's like Defenders of the Universe or something.
Really, not even the older ones, huh?
I don't
definitely
think I'd
not the older ones. Yeah,
I don't think I'd recommend the older ones. I think the new one it's from the studio that did the Korra and Last Airbender stuff. Yeah. So like it's got a great team at its base, and the stories they've been telling, there's a great emphasis on character and growth, and it is that younger. It's got that nice hopeful charm to it. And really cool giant mech battles in space and stuff like that. Fantastic characters, and I think a younger audience could really latch onto that. While at the same time being a fun show for an older audience as well. On the kind of same token, more like on the anime side for again kind of a younger audience. I'd recommend Gundam Build Fighters, which if you're not familiar with it, it's one of the entries in the long line of Gundam shows out there. What are they at? Like 12 now?
At least. I think there's more than that.
I think so. But Build Fighters is one where the premise is that they build this Gunpla. They make their model Gundams, and then they load them up into a video game, and they have a fight. And it actually, they blow parts off the mech. It actually, destroys their model. It's kind of fun that way. But it's very much, aimed at a younger audience. There's a great celebration of, both the franchise as a whole and, the hobby of building, models. I know our friend of the show, Rick, and his son have been watching that series, and it's gotten his son into building Gundams and smaller. He's starting with the chibi ones for sure, because they're a little easier to build. But they're growing on top of that, and it's a really fun show just in general. And then kind of still in anime, and I'm sure some of these guys will reiterate, if someone's kind of coming new to mobile suit kind of show, not really sure what to start with, the Mobile Suit Gundam 08th MS team I think is kind of universally a great starting point, because it's the real mech type show, where these things are giant machines. They're essentially big tanks. They require maintenance. They can trip on tree roots in the jungle if you're not careful. Animation is pretty great from the 90s, and it's also kind of short, which gives it a pretty good dose without going overboard, because a lot of these other Gundam series you'll find out there are a good 40, 50 episodes long. Can be kind of intimidating to get into.
And just skip the last episode.
Yep, you can skip the last episode. It doesn't exist. You end with the Shuddering Mountain Part 1 and 2, and you'll be roses. But so that's a really good one to start with. We'd also, obviously, I think we can all agree that the original 1979 Mobile Suit Gundam series itself actually holds up pretty well from a story standpoint. Mm-hmm. Animation is a little dated, won't lie, but
but it's not horrible.
it's not horrible in the grand scheme.
For 79, it looks way better than say G.I. Joe or Transformers from the 80s.
Oh yeah, it holds up way better than a lot of those.
You watch G.I. Joe now, and it's it's like stop motion. Like this thing is 4 frames per second.
Yeah.
Where the Gundam one it is dated and it is a bit 70s, but it's almost retro now. I think it would be kids are used to watching things on YouTube and stuff. I don't know if they'd be too thrown off by the animation in that one.
Yeah. And just to kind of throw a couple more anime ones out there, that are not Gundam, because we like Gundam a lot. It's a huge chunk of that mecha genre, to be sure. But for those that have liked Gundam and are looking for something else, I'd recommend Full Metal Panic. Is a really fun series that's got some pretty cool mechs in it. It's got it had 3 seasons and actually just had a new one that I think finished up. I believe I might have even shared a post about it in the Facebook group. That was a fun one. That's a bit more of a younger, like high school kind of era, whereas younger pilots and whatnot. But it's really fun. The mechs are really cool, and it's definitely a real robot kind of show. And then I'd also throw in there Code Geass, which also just got like a new show announcement. That's another one where it's like 50 episodes. But that one's got a bit more political intrigue to it. But the mechs in there are pretty, have a lot of unique designs. A big part is that they kind of have like rollerblades. So they skate around really quick and fast, but they still have a very, real robot kind of feel to them. Yeah, I think that covers a whole lot of the anime ones that are good starting points. There's a bunch more out there, obviously. You got, I think Knights of Sidonia is a big one that Netflix put out. Unfortunately, I haven't checked that one out myself yet to know whether or not to judge it on its quality. I know that one's TVMA, so that one's not for kids. Much like Darling in the Franxx, don't show that to kids. But there's, and for those that are looking for something really bizarre in the giant robot genre, look at those Studio Gainax stuff that I mentioned earlier, like the Neon Genesis Evangelion and Gunbuster.
Only if you want to break your brain.
Only if you want to break your brain. There's a lot of good stuff out there. And obviously anyone in the chat are more than welcome to post your recommendations as well. But I feel like I've been talking quite a bit, so I'll turn it over to you guys. So Rob, you get the next set.
Yeah, do go to Mobile Armor Radio and go into I think we'll post this episode in the comments there. Put your recommendations. I was thinking, you mentioned a lot of good stuff. Obviously, Robotech's a big thing for me. It is dated once again, but it's a great story, and I think it's very easy to get into. Like, as a child, I got into it pretty easily, so that'd be something I would suggest for anime-wise that you didn't mention. But I was thinking more about games. Like,
yeah.
It's interesting, and there's role-playing games. There's quite a few. There's like there's a new Robotech role-playing game coming out, which might be interesting. We'll have to check that out. But I'm trying to think of actual miniature games. If you're already into miniature games, things like Battletech, obviously. But Battletech is, I think it's, I would say it's a little hard to get into. Maybe that new starter set coming out, but that's a world that's so deep and so. It's almost like getting into the X-Men. You have to go feet first and just kind of wade in and find your place, because to say that it'd be easy to get into, I think is not true, story-wise at least. But the thing I really want to say is the comic books is Mech Cadet U by Greg Pak. They just came out with, I think, their first or second trade. That series is great for kids. It's about a little boy who, he's working as a maintenance person at this place where these mechs come from space, and they choose their pilots to defend against these evil crab creatures. And this little kid who's just a maintenance guy, the mech chooses him, so all of a sudden he's thrust into the world of giant mecha. And it's at first it's just like a story of them training, and you're fighting amongst each other, the kids. Because for some reason these mechs always choose children to bond with. But then it gets, as the aliens attack, these alien crab creatures, it gets pretty serious, but it's still like, it's definitely G-rated. Like there's nothing majorly, like there's some heartstrings pulled, but there's no blood or guts or anything like that. And I think that's a great series if your children read comic books. That's a good mecha series to get into.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Robotech does have a new comic that's out that is a retelling of the anime, but in a more, it's almost like Galactica reboot style of where they're telling it in a more serious way with a lot more, adult themes and violence, and it's a lot more in depth. But even the violence isn't horrible violence, but it's still a little violent. Right. There's some deaths. But that's pretty good even if you're a fan of Robotech, to get into that, to appreciate the differences of the story so far, because they have taken it in different ways. So that for comic books, I think those are two pretty good series. The thing you never mentioned was I think Pacific Rim. Like that's a popcorn movie that giant mecha fighting each other. You can get into that pretty easily, 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a good gateway drug. Once you get into that would lead you into things like Gundam or actually a lot like the mechs kind of do look like the Neon Genesis Evangelion mechs. They kind of look the same shape. So I don't know if you want to move into that. It is brain torturing, but the first part of that series is really good. It just gets weird by the end. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else. Actually, miniature games is hard. There is that new board game, like you said, Starship Samurai. It does have mechs in it, and it's more just like a worker placement kind of game. So and we have a friend who picked it up the same weekend we got it. Amazingly, he was at a tournament in Massachusetts for another game, and he won the tournament. So with the money, his winnings, he bought that Starship Samurai. He's played it quite a bit now, and he said it's really fun, really quick to learn. I think the rulebook's like 15 pages. That's always a nice plus for board games. It's not impossible to get into. So that might be a fun game to get into, having those mechs, and you don't have to paint them, but it could be a gateway into starting to paint mechs too. And obviously, I think a big gateway is the models. Just go on Amazon, go anywhere, buy a $10 model, start playing with it. Once you buy one, you have to buy another, and then you start watching the anime.
It's the rule.
Like, I need that one because it's in the anime I like, and then you end up with all of the ones from the 08 team, and you have to get all the variants, and it becomes trouble, and you're running out of shelf space. So yeah, that's where I am right now. So that was my gateway drug, probably, I would say. After many years, it was the models got me back into it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So Pat, anything to add? Is there anything else that I forgot?
No. Yeah. I mean, for myself, I would probably suggest if they're not familiar with any of this, I would probably start them with the lighter anime stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stuff that got me, because those animes eventually led me to Robotech. Like Space Battleship Yamato, Battle of the Planets. I don't know what the Japanese name of that is. And we talked a little bit about the robots that I watched when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
But the main two was Battle of the Planets and Space Battleship Yamato, which then led me to Gundam, which then led me to Robotech. And then once I got into Robotech, I was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. But in between Gundam and Robotech, like Rob said, there was Battletech.
Mm-hmm.
And those little minis rolled me into that. So if you're not into the figs, but not so much the figs is where I'm going with this. I'm going with the actual books that were released.
Mm-hmm. Great series of books.
The novels, like The Great Death Legion was the first set of trilogies that I read.
Mm-hmm.
Decision Thunder Rift, Mercenary Star and Present Glory. The first 3 books I read from Battletech, and I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I want to be in one of those and step on people.
Plus, it's got a lot of political intrigue, and like the stories are barely about the actual mechs. It's more about the world, and like I said, it was hard to get into. But if you start reading those books, you'll get into it. Because especially if you find a chronological list and start at the beginning, so you get the history of it, kind of like
Yeah.
I think that really helps. So you find your like now they're doing all the later ones, which I think are really impenetrable, like, cause you have to know the whole background of the clan invasion, all this stuff. But you start right at the beginning with like the Great Death Legion is a great
all the Inner
series to
Sphere
start with.
stuff. All the Inner Spheres book. Great Death Legion or Sword and Dagger are the two I recommend. Sword and Dagger is a standalone. It's not even a trilogy.
There's also a short story compilation called Shrapnel, I think it's called. That's really good too. That kind of gets you the flavor of it all.
Yeah, and so I guess Sword and Dagger, the Great Death Legion trilogy, and the Warrior trilogy are the ones I like. And when you start to get into like Blood Legacy, when you get the blood of Kerensky.
Oh, those are all the clan ones, yeah.
Yeah, then you start to get into the clans, and then it gets a little dodgy for me. Yeah,
Sword and Dagger, the Great Death Legion, Warrior Trilogy. Warrior Trilogy is where it starts getting good.
Yeah, the Warrior Trilogy brings in the House Kurita, whereas Sword and Dagger is Hans Davion, a little bit of the Federated Sons, because they're at the point where they're getting married now and combining both houses.
Well, the Warrior Trilogy is more about, it's the Steiners and Davians versus the Laos. It's Heir to the Dragon is the Kurita ones. Heir to the Dragon's a good one too.
Oh, that's right. And then the Great Death Legion is the Lyrian Commonwealth, right?
Yeah. Well, they fight. They fight the Kuritas a lot there too. But up until Heir to the Dragon, the Japanese, the Kurita are the kind of the bad guys. And then you Heir to the Dragon, you see their point of view. You're like, oh, that's the best thing about Battletech. There is no real bad guys. Like they all have a point of view that you can get behind. So. Or they're all bad guys. That's the other thing. Yeah. Those first like set. That's the Inner Sphere ones. Yeah, I think they're really great. That's to get into the BattleTech world. That's the way to go for sure.
Yeah, and then you already touched on the Voltron. Voltron
that's an easy one nowadays.
That's an easy one. I mean, you can do the new one or the old one. I don't think the old ones are horrible.
Nah.
They're dated now, but you have to when they were out when I was young so I'm coming from that direction. This is this is the stuff that got me started. Yeah. So
I have a 8-year-old nephew, and my brother-in-law tried. He like me watched Transformers as a kid. He tried to get his nephew to watch the early Transformers. He hated them. He just couldn't watch them. But he watches the new Transformers like they're going out of style. So I think it's. Kids nowadays, I think maybe it's a lot slower. Maybe it's about attention spans or what, but they cannot watch those old animes or not animes, but cartoons that we did in the 80s. I think a lot of them, kids nowadays can't do it.
No, it's definitely true. But if I'm looking, so like a friend who's roughly in our age group, this is my suggestions, not necessarily for kids, but for someone who is well past their childhood into a young adult, I would even say.
Well, especially if they watch Voltron as a kid, the nostalgia of going back is pretty fun.
So that's where I was coming from, the direction I was coming at with this topic. So old anime. The space battleship Yamato or Star Blazers in America is solid.
And I believe that's getting a re-release in the States.
It did, but I think they did one already.
Yeah, there's
2099, I think it's called.
Yeah, 21.99. That's pretty good.
The Battle of Planets was called Science Ninja Team Gatchaman in Japan.
Is that what it was called?
Gatchaman, yeah. There's been quite a few, I think, in that whole series, the Gatchaman series.
But and with that, the Phoenix, their main ship that they all flew in, could be considered mechish in a sense because they all it was Voltron-esque in that sense. It didn't really transform into a big giant robot, but the front of the nose had the race car, which one guy did. The pilot docked his plane in the back, and then the one girl had the motorcycle. The clone had the little buggy in the pods and the wings, and then you had the big guy who actually piloted the big ship. So it kind of all ties in step by step into that, and then you move on to Mobile Suit Gundam into BattleTech in itself. So,
or as we like to always talk about, is the Voltron with the vehicle Voltron.
Yes,
the better Voltron. I wish they did a new version of that.
They might. You never know.
That'd be cool.
So, Yeah, so I think these are all great all suggestions, and I think it's a good way to get people started in those things if you haven't been into it.
Yeah. Like obviously we're speaking to the converted already, but if you're looking, if you got friends who want to get into it, some of these suggestions might help.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of books and authors, Michael Stackpole is one of the prominent sci-fi writers just around. He did a bunch of Star Wars novels. He also did the Warrior Trilogy books for Battletech. So,
and he's responsible for adding Buckaroo Banzai to the Battletech universe. So he's number one in my books.
Nice. Yeah.
So
I would also throw. We didn't talk as much about like video games, but I would throw in the new BattleTech game. I think we've all played a bit and enjoyed a lot. That's a very fun like tactical strategy type game. I'd also throw out there, there's this is our Mech Warrior Online. I think is still
still around. Coming out with a new one coming out soon.
There's actually a wedding invitation for that. Federates.
That's what that was. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a new narrative campaigns happening in that. I've never played it because I'm not so much in the player versus player Twitch kind of
Yeah, that one's a bit more straight up that way where it's versus. I know the Titanfall 2 in particular has been a really successful game. I recently purchased that. I need to get that one started to play. And I'd also throw out there just for some old classics that are great. The Armored Core series has always been pretty fantastic.
Armored Core PlayStation. That was the old PlayStation.
Yep. Yep. I have I think Armored Core 3 is sitting over there across the way from me. That's a fun one where you get to like build and the different parts of your mech. There's a new there's Gundam Breaker 3 for those of you that are of the Gundam variety and really like the act of building your mechs. That one is pretty much the Build Fighters TV show, the video game. If you get
like a fighting game, right?
Yeah, it's less straight up kind of not as story driven, straight up mechs. It's more of like, hey, you're playing this video game and building Gunpla. Like you get the Gunpla parts and you can paint them different colors and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. And then I also another kind of classic one. I think I've even mentioned it before on the show. Was Front Mission was a really fun one. That one's more like PlayStation 1 era actually, but it was like kind of a tactical shooter. It was kind of like what the current BattleTech game is, but it was grid based. So like a Final Fantasy Tactics, but with giant robots.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they had like different parts. So you could like shoot the legs off a mech and it would fall over, shoot arms off and it was the weapon. Like it was really cool. So that'd be another game I'd recommend. Trying to think of Dynasty Warriors Gundam is a fun time. Again, not as serious, but they do some fun things because they have a lot of character crossover from the different shows. And so there'll be a lot of fun dialogue where the characters will talk to one another, in weird ways. But yeah, I realize we have mentioned a lot more like kind of classic things and things that we really enjoyed that aren't as maybe contemporary. So if you guys have any like newer suggestions, like, man, I played this game or I watched this show that came out last year. I know, you talked about Gundam Thunderbolt earlier as a fun one. Feel free to comment in the section below. We love hearing what new things are out as well. And especially, we talk a lot about Gundam, but we love hearing about other mech properties as well. And sometimes even we're just not aware of them. So the more we can share the knowledge on that, the more we can all enjoy more giant robots.
Yeah, like I said, with that Cav, too, I'm just getting into that. So that might be a gateway game for miniatures, too. We'll have to see the complexity of it. So we'll get into that. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future. So Yeah,
Excellent.
I wish I could think of more miniature games. Like, obviously we play Dead Zone, but it's very, I would say the mech part of it is not major.
It's not huge at all. No, not a bit.
But yeah, games-wise, I wish, yeah. I've been looking for a good mech game for a long time. Battletech is good, but it's not the easiest to, well, it's not hard, but it's very complex to play with.
GKR is really good.
Yeah. See?
It
that
seems,
kind of game too, yeah.
It does seem like, yeah. It seems like it is something that is a little harder to kind of be a breakout in the genre, where new properties sometimes get, I don't say brushed aside, but kind of overwhelmed by the continuing of an older property, like the Gundam franchise, or even like Macross in Japan has been a consistent storyline for about 30 years. And they keep making a new show like every 5. So, it's something where we love to see new entries into the genre as well as the continuation of the old stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think with the new Gundam movie and the new Robotech movie, if it comes out, and with Ready Player One, that whole scene with Gundam versus Mecha Godzilla, like that sparks a lot of kids' interest. Like all of a sudden they'll be like, "What is that?" Like that blew my mind, right? And they'll hopefully start searching that and find out what it is. And
it's
like,
definitely a good gateway there.
Yeah, that little scene was enough gateway. I think that it brought a lot of people in, and it sparked the ability to have a Gundam movie. Like that's where it's all based on, was that scene. They're like, "Oh, we can actually do that now."
Mm-hmm.
So when that comes out, and Pacific Rim, unfortunately, wasn't the success that it could have been, and I don't think it was one of those movies that people consider ahead of its time. I think once the real Gundam and Robotech and whatever else comes after that movies come out, Battletech, hopefully, like those kind of movies are going to be the new big thing, and I think they'll look back on Pacific Rim like they look back on like Blade or the early Spider-Man movies for the for the superhero genre. I hope that giant mecha genre is going to be a thing, like superheroes. When I was a kid, the idea that there would be this many superhero movies was unthinkable. So hopefully kids nowadays are going to experience that, where they would think it's impossible to be all these mecha movies or not just anime, you know? So that could bring it to the wider audience, because it is a niche right now. Anime is definitely, in general, people see it as a niche because maybe they think it's subtitled always, or just in general it's like they see things on TV like Pokemon or any of those kind of weird shows, and they think that's what anime is. And I think it gives it a bad name. There is no real TV show like when we were kids. We had Robotech. There's no TV show nowadays on TV that is anime that is in general TV, that's not on Netflix or something, that has the same feel, I think, and hopefully that changes. But maybe it's just because it is so diversified now that you can go to things like Netflix and find things, and
there's so much more, but that spreads it out a lot.
True.
But yeah, I think that was a really fun discussion to have, and I think from here we're gonna move on to exfiltrate ourselves from the podcast and wrap up for the night.
Let's exfil out of here.
All right, and so to wrap up, thank you all for once again listening to the podcast. I realize this one's a bit longer than our typical one. The Gen Con stuff was a real big factor in that. August itself was just a whirlwind of activity and announcements. I even forgot to mention there's a new Gundam in the Universal Century timeline coming out. It's supposed to be like a sequel series to Unicorn. So like that just got announced.
Yeah, Gundam Narrative, right?
Yeah. Well, it was announced. Now there's art for it, I guess, is the big announcement.
That's why I saw the art, yeah.
So
looks interesting.
It's interesting how that timeline kind of keeps trying to fit more stuff in, but each entry like tries to wrap up everything.
Yeah.
So
it's like, this will be the last one.
This will be the last one. It's like, oh, no. But yeah, so I think that about covers it. Rob, you had an announcement you wanted to make about merchandise.
Yep, if you're interested in Mobile Armor Radio merch, We do have some t-shirt designs on shop.spreadshirt.com/Mobile Armor Radio. You can go to the Mobile Armor Facebook group. It's the pinned post. And we have some cool t-shirt designs with our logo. And we have the half Atlas, half Gundam, and the half Zaku, half Atlas shirts available in either black or white designs. We also have Zazzle.com/Mobile Armor Radio, where you can get some cool mugs. And we'll be adding other stuff to that one. So we have, come buy some merch, especially at Spreadshirt. The t-shirts are relatively cheap. So,
yes.
And they're cool, even if you don't like us. They're still cool looking.
They're awesome. You make your friends jealous.
That's right.
Let's see some Mobile Armor Radio when you post pics of your models.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our thing. You have to post the mug in your model pics. That's our new thing. Everybody has to post their mugs.
And that means like a cup, not your faces. Unless you want your faces in it.
No, your mugs can be in it too.
Yeah. The mug, maybe your face drinking out of the mug while you're showing off your models.
And your mug. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this insanity. So I've been Brian.
I've been Pat.
I'm Rob.
And you guys all have a great night.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more Mecha discussion.